Guys, I just listened to the audio quality on the last YouTube live and it was awful. So I do apologize. I am going to try to remake that video the best I can, including and delete that one because I do believe that that one probably won't be that helpful to many people. So everything that I'm going to say is a repeat or a recap, if you will. But just bought another trailer. You can see in the background there. And on my way back from an area called Blue Springs, and I wanted to answer Chris Shirt's Shafety Ferts on or somebody, but he brought it up, so he was kind of the catalyst. Except for the fact that I get so many emails every month about pricing apartment complexes because I made the mistake of putting my email address on the forum and saying, I can help you price apartments if you want to hear my strategy. And people blew up my inbox. But I price, I'm almost back to the shop, so I'll try to condense everything and make it more concise. As far as apartment buildings go, let's say you get to one and it's very cookie breezeway. You go through a door in order to get into the building. It's smaller, it's vinyl, it's got 4 units. When I get to smaller apartment buildings and townhomes, I look at those as if it were a house. And I say, what would I charge on this reasonably if it were a house? If it takes me an hour to do this house, and these are all going to be made up numbers, but let's say, for the sake of round numbers, that building would take me an hour and it would cost $500 in order for me to clean that if it were just the house. So that building is $500. Pretty easy, pretty cut and dry. The other thing that I look at is how many units they have or how many buildings they have. And let's say they have 10 buildings and all buildings are 4 units, exact same layouts, or at least exact same footprint and exact same size. I'm going to multiply that $500 by 10. A 10 building apartment complex you should reasonably be able to do in 2 days. But let's say 3 of those buildings were in really bad shape. They're up against a tree line. The north sides are just covered in algae. So it's not just a quick soap and rinse to get the thing clean. Those buildings, let's say they take me 20 minutes longer on those buildings because of one bad side each. On those 3 buildings, I'm going to price those at $500 plus 30% for the 20 minutes. Or you can do 33% if you're looking at thirds, but typically do 30 and 70% if it takes 40 minutes. In which case, those 3 buildings would be $500 plus 30%. So at 30%, well, so 7 of those buildings are going to be $500. That's what they're going to be priced at. And 3 of them are going to be priced at $500 plus 30%. Pretty easy. Let's say one of those 3 that are really bad is going to take me an extra half an hour or whatever. For half an hour, well, let's say it's going to take an extra half an hour. At a half an hour, I'm going to charge them $500 plus 50%, right? Because I try to do things based on an hourly rate. Now let me do the hourly rate. The hourly rate is pretty simple. You have to know how much money you're spending each month. I mean, it's just, that's part of being a business owner. So if you don't know what your expenses are, fixed and variable, this may not work for you. But if you know what your monthly expenses are, fixed and variable, now you can figure out how much revenue you want to earn in order to meet your profit goals. So let's say your profit goal per hour is $75 and your expenses are $25 an hour. You can't figure out what your expenses are per hour if you don't know what they cost you each month on average. But I need to charge $100 an hour in order to meet my profit goals if my profit goal is $75 an hour. It's pretty simple, pretty cut and dry. So if my profit goal is $300 an hour and my expenses are $100 an hour, I need to be charging $400 per hour. And that will increase as you add more trucks and people and machines and so on and so forth. But I'm going to take a step back now and talk about how I bid larger projects. Larger projects like fancy 4-story, 8 or 10 or 12 unit apartment complexes that aren't vinyl. They have something fancy on the outside. I try to find out what the average rent is for that building. It's pretty easy. All you gotta do is ask. So then I position it in such a way that I say I'm going to try to get this clean for the same price as one tenant's monthly rent. Because if they're charging, let's say $2,000, that's a high number, but let's say they're charging $2,000 a month for rent in that building. That's the average. They're making $240,000 if they have 10 tenants per year in that building. So if I can reasonably do the work, if it makes sense to do the work for $2,000 and I'm meeting my profit goals, now I can sell it as I'm doing this for less than one tenant's rent or one tenant's monthly rent. So pretty easy. Now, on that, if there's breezeways, if there is balconies, and I know that the balconies are going to take me an extra hour, and at 4 stories, I'm going to need a lift to do the balconies on top of the hour it's going to take to clean the building. That now doubles to $4,000. That's how I would bid that. And then it's up to me at that point to sell that and say, 2 tenants monthly rent. I know the revenue you're making on this building is, well, don't say that, but you know the revenue they're making on that building is $240,000 a year. So in order to clean it, if you can reasonably clean it for $4,000, meet your profit goals, and sell it for the average rent of 2 tenants, it's a lot easier to stomach than saying this entire complex is going to be $30,000 if it's a bigger complex, or so on and so forth. But Ben asked a question about if I charge a markup on SH and fuel and supplies and stuff like that. Physically go get anything. I have everything delivered, so my cost on SH and fuel and everything else is $1,000 a month. Okay, it says I'm reconnected, so I hope. Man, guys, I'm sorry. The last one was bad, so I hope this one isn't bad as far as audio quality goes. But as far as marking up SH and fuel and so on and so forth, I can get anything I want in a matter of either a 5-minute phone call or making a couple clicks on the internet in about 40 seconds, because I know my suppliers now, I know what I want from them, I know how to find it, and I can order it. It shows up, I pay the bill in 30 days or whenever the net terms are, and as far as getting stuff, it takes maybe an hour a week at most. So no, I don't put a markup on anything. My labor rate in Kansas City, I will say, depending on the size of the project, my labor rate is anywhere from 20 to 40% higher than a lot of my competitors. And I truly, sincerely believe that what we do aside from the cleaning, don't get me wrong, I think we clean better than anybody else, but we've been told multiple times, either via review, in person, or mainly those 2 things, or over the phone when we follow up, that nobody communicates and nobody follows up the way that we do. Nobody shows up when they say they're going to. We do. We don't have any such thing as service windows. If I say I'm going to be there at 9, or I say somebody's going to be there at 9 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon, they're there. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So we charge a higher rate, but I think we earn it. As far as pricing apartment complexes go, that's how I do it. There's no wrong way, and I'm positive somebody's going to get on here and say that's a wrong way to price apartment complexes and townhomes. You know, I don't think there is a wrong way. The right way to price apartment complexes and townhomes is to make sure that you're meeting your profit goals per hour, paying your expenses, and you're able to feed your family every month and have enough money to put away and cover your insurances. Townhomes I'll touch on really quickly because I did in the last video. If we go and look at some townhomes in Kansas City, most average townhomes are basically 2 houses glued together, which means that we have to wash 6 sides worth of 2 houses instead of 8 sides worth of 2 houses because they're connected in the middle. Same with duplexes. So on that, I'll look at them and I'll say 2 houses of the same size split apart, 8 sides. If they cost me, or if I charge $300 for those houses if they were split apart, then I divide that by 75%. Or I'm sorry, I multiply that by 75% because now there's only 6 sides. So if it's a $600 combo unit between 2 houses, I multiply that by 75%. It's $450 for that unit. And that's how I price townhomes. And townhomes are actually a lot easier to clean, I think, than apartment buildings. And townhomes tend to have less difficult tenants a lot of times. And that may just be, I don't want to make a blanket statement. That's totally my opinion based on my experience. But price things the way that you think you should price them in order to cover your expenses, meet your profit goals, and feed your family, put some money away, and cover your insurances. So that is my philosophy on pricing. I hope that's helpful, and I hope the audio is substantially better than the last one. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down below, and I will try to get back to you in a timely manner. If you like the channel, please subscribe. If you really like the channel, share it with your buddies in the industry. I would really, really appreciate it. So I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I hope you guys are having better weather so that you can actually make some money. Because this week, we had 6 houses, over this past week, we've had 6 houses on the calendar that we were supposed to do, and the storms have them. So I'll probably work the weekend. But I hope you guys are making tons of money and you have a ton of free time this weekend. You can enjoy your family and your time off. Thanks.